Welcome to Hybrid Market Terminal Podcast, where macro meets momentum and strategy drives every move. Now, if the title, Rewiring Your Money Mind, sounds less like a terminal report and more like maybe a therapy session, stick with us, because today we're actually pivoting right to the core market that, well, really determines all your success, your internal economy.
Right. We are talking about money, but, not spreadsheets, not investment charts today. We're diving into that really visceral, draining emotional weight that financial stress puts on you.
Yeah, it's not just the numbers on the page, is it? It's that awful combination of shame and guilt and just constant anxiety that hits when the bills pile up or, when some unexpected expense just kind of slams into your month.
It is. It's that feeling of being totally alone in it, even when logically you're not the only one going through it.
Exactly. And that's precisely why we wanted to do a really deep dive into Jack Morgan's foundational work, Broke No More, the Mindset Detox 30 Days to Rewire Your Thoughts About Money.
Yeah, Morgan's work, it's just so powerful because it starts by acknowledging that pain. This isn't some abstract theory. It's a framework built by someone who clearly understands what it feels like to be trapped in that financial bad dream you couldn't wake up from, as he puts it.
Right.
It's really designed as a genuine, a real talk reset, not a textbook. Morgan isn't promising you'll be a millionaire in 30 days. He promises something much more valuable, actually, which is peace, stability.
And that peace, that's critical, isn't it? I mean, we see it in the stories he shares, like Mike's story. He's grinding through these exhausting shifts, just fueled by the sheer stress of being the sole provider. That constant pressure, the fear that if he even slows down for a second, everything just collapses. That's not just a financial problem. That feels more like an identity crisis driven by money.
Absolutely. Or you look at Sarah's situation. She's working hard, juggling everything, right?
Yeah.
But she feels this just debilitating wave of guilt anytime she dares to spend even a tiny amount on herself. A simple haircut, a coffee, just a moment of respite.
Yeah.
The shame isn't logical. It's really deep-rooted. It's like realizing the whole system, the earning and spending, it's somehow been poisoned by anxiety for her.
So our mission today, really, for you listening, is to explore this 30-day process he outlines. Think of it as a roadmap for doing a pretty intensive detox on the financial mindset that might be holding you back.
Yeah, we're going to challenge those inherited narratives, try to stop the self-blame cycle, and really explore how you can reclaim your own story, move towards something calmer, more empowered.
And to do that, well, we have to start right at the beginning, don't we?
We do. If you want to write a new financial story for yourself, you first have to figure out who wrote the original script, because chances are it probably wasn't you.
Okay, so let's unpack this idea that Morgan puts right up front. This concept that our financial foundation, it's built on an inherited narrative. This is often where people have that aha moment, realizing their struggles aren't, personal failings. They're actually learned behaviors, beliefs, handed down through generations.
It's so true. And these narratives, they're a mix of everything, aren't they? Culture, where you grew up, your specific family. It's all kind of rolled into one big baggage bundle.
Right.
When we were kids, we weren't just learning, how to tie our shoes. We were absorbing, often unconsciously, the emotional responses our parents had towards money.
Yeah, there's little phrases.
Exactly. Phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees, or maybe we just don't have enough for that right now. These weren't just objective statements about cash flow at that moment.
No, they were more like programming.
They were belief systems. They were defining scarcity as the default state of the world. That's what you internalize.
And these beliefs, they basically become our internal operating system running in the background. You see the immense weight of this in Mike's story that Morgan shares. Mike grew up where let's say the financial temperature was always freezing. Just making ends meet, that was considered a huge success.
It's a good day, yeah.
Right. So because that was his baseline, Mike internalized this silent, just pervasive belief that being broke or always struggling was just part of his family's identity, like it was destiny.
And now, fast forward to today, Mike's a provider. He's actually achieved a level of stability his parents didn't have. Yet he still feels this overwhelming resentment, this guilt, this anxiety, every single time he opens his wallet, even for things he needs.
It's like a reflex.
It is. He's literally fighting his childhood programming, which is just screaming inside him that spending equals danger no matter what the context is now.
So Morgan argues, quite convincingly, I think, that to get any real traction, we have to isolate those emotional roots. We can't just manage the symptoms like trying to budget harder when the root is fear.
Exactly. And he identifies these three major categories of patterns that seem to consistently bind us emotionally. They keep us stuck in that loop of anxiety.
Okay, what are they?
Well, the first one is shame over spending. This is that internalized judgment, that voice in your head judging anything that goes beyond the absolute bare bones essentials.
So like feeling bad about buying the slightly nicer brand of coffee.
Totally. If a parent was constantly worried, or maybe if money discussions were always shrouded in secrecy and tension, the child learns that any small indulgence, a movie ticket, like you said, better coffee, maybe even just decent furniture, feels like some kind of moral failing.
That's Sarah's story, isn't it? Her guilt over self-care.
It is. Her mother, operating in full survival mode, sacrificed absolutely everything. And Sarah feels this deep, unspoken obligation to do the same. So any self-care feels like a betrayal. Massive guilt.
Wow. Okay, what's the second pattern?
The second, and this one is maybe the most damaging for relationships, is the fear of financial conversations.
Yeah. Money becomes taboo.
Completely taboo. A subject you whisper about, if at all. Or, on the flip side, it's the guaranteed trigger for a massive fight.
Right. Either silence or explosions.
And when money is off limits like that, you never develop healthy, transparent ways to manage it together. You create this vacuum where information and collaboration should be. And what fills that void? Anxiety, mistrust, resentment.
Makes sense. And the third?
And the third, which Morgan really paints as the true enemy of making progress, is the endless scarcity mentality.
Okay, so this isn't just about being temporarily short on cash.
No, not at all. This is much deeper. It's like a core, almost spiritual certainty that money is this incredibly limited resource that's always, always slipping through your fingers, no matter what you do.
And that forces you into survival mode. Constantly.
Constantly. It makes any kind of long-term planning feel completely pointless, even absurd. If your subconscious genuinely believes there will never be enough, why on earth would you bother trying to save or invest? It feels futile.
This is heavy stuff. But actually realizing this is where the liberation starts.
Yeah. Absolutely, because once you can see these patterns in yourself, maybe for the first time, you realize what Morgan emphasizes so strongly. You're not failing, you're fighting with systems that were never built for you.
That's powerful. So the shame you feel isn't because you're inadequate.
No, it's because you're operating under this like antiquated set of rules that probably served your parents or grandparents in their reality, but they just don't serve your life anymore. They're holding you back.
Okay. So the first actionable step Morgan suggests is reflection, journaling.
Yeah, simple but incredibly profound. He really recommends getting an old school notebook and a pen. There's something about the physical act of writing. It slows your brain down. It helps bring the subconscious stuff into the light in a way that typing often doesn't.
Right. It makes it more tangible.
It does. And you need to ask yourself some tough questions like, what specific emotions did money bring up in your childhood home? Was it always stress, fear, anger, or maybe excitement, but in an unhealthy way? Were financial decisions talked about with pressure, or were the burdens shared openly, collaboratively?
And the goal here isn't about blaming mom and dad.
Right. No, absolutely not. It's about understanding the operating manual you inherited without even realizing it. Because until you understand the rules you've been playing by, you can't consciously decide which ones to keep and which ones to toss out.
That act of drawing the line between the inherited past and the future you actually want to create, that feels like the real moment of choice.
That is the moment. And part of drawing that line effectively means pinpointing the precise emotional triggers that still derail you today. These aren't just vague worries. These are the specific financial landmines you keep stepping on.
Okay, like what? We mentioned the modern one, financial comparison, scrolling through Instagram and seeing everyone's highlight reel. That's a big one.
Huge. But let's get even deeper, more visceral. For instance, that sheer dread some people feel just talk about money. It instantly transports them back to that childhood tension around the kitchen table.
Or the panic from an unexpected expense. The car breaks down, the dentist finds a cavity.
Exactly. It's not just the dollar amount, is it? It's that feeling of complete loss of control that washes over you. Utter helplessness.
Yeah. And Morgan pushes us to ask a really profound question here. How does that specific memory or that specific fear actually shape your current behaviors?
Right. So, for example, if your parents fought viciously over every single budget decision, maybe your inherited fear manifests today as total avoidance.
Like you just don't open the bills.
Yeah.
Or refuse to look at your bank balance.
Precisely. Because the simple act of seeing the reality of engaging with the numbers triggers such profound emotional pain, it feels safer to stay blind. Even though, rationally, you know it makes things worse.
So we have to make this practical. People need tools. That's why the book introduces that 2-column method for journaling triggers. It sounds so simple, but it seems really effective.
It is effective because it creates crucial distance. It helps you observe your reaction instead of just being swept away by it.
Okay, how does it work again?
So in column 1, you just list the external trigger. Be specific. Received a large medical bill. Or partner brought up retirement savings again. Maybe even something seemingly small, like walked past a luxury goods store and felt inadequate.
Okay, trigger logged, then column 2.
Column 2 is the feeling. Again, be specific. Shame, guilt, anger, helplessness, resentment. Just name the primary emotion that surged up.
Okay, trigger, feeling. Makes sense. But you mentioned a third column.
Yes, and this adds the real depth. After you've logged these for maybe a week, you add a third column. The behavior. What did you actually do when you felt that helplessness after the medical bill arrived?
Ah, okay. So did I immediately go online and buy something small just to feel a tiny bit of control back? Or did I just ignore the bill, shove it in a drawer for a week?
Exactly. That third column reveals the crucial link. It shows you the often dysfunctional coping mechanism, the behavior that's actually rooted in that inherited fear or shame, not in a rational response to the situation.
Wow. So getting these triggers, feelings, and the resulting actions down on paper, it stops being this paralyzing emotional soup inside your head.
Right. It becomes tangible, predictable even. It turns into data points you can actually strategize against now. You're transforming that deep-seated guilt or fear into actionable knowledge.
Yeah, it really is the difference, isn't it?
Yes.
It's shifting from feeling like a victim of your past to becoming the capable author of your financial future.
Precisely. You take the pen back.
Okay, so we've spent some crucial time digging into that inherited baggage, identifying the roots. Now we shift gears into the action phase, the 30-day detox. And this journey, as Morgan frames it, it isn't about some radical overnight overhaul, is it? It's more about shedding that mental weight, clearing out the emotional clutter, really just creating some space to breathe.
Exactly. And he's really specific about the pacing, which I think is key to why it works. This detox is successful because it relies on small, consistent efforts, not huge, overwhelming leaps.
Right. If you try to change like 50 financial habits all at once,
You'll fail. Or at least you'll feel like you failed. The sheer scale of the task will just trigger all that old anxiety and reinforce the very feeling of inadequacy you're trying to escape.
it really is like building a muscle, isn't it? You don't walk into the gym on day one and try to bench press 300 pounds.
Exactly. You start with light weights, but you do it repeatedly, consistently, day after day. Consistency is the goal here, not instant perfection. The whole process of rewiring your habits, your brain pathways, it's incremental. It just requires you to commit to showing up every day, even and maybe especially when the results aren't immediately obvious.
And the driving philosophy behind this steady, sustained effort is something Morgan calls emotional minimalism. I like that term.
It's a powerful concept, isn't it? It basically means consciously letting go of all the unnecessary emotional noise.
Like what kind of noise?
Well, the chronic guilt over past money mistakes, the constant fear of hypothetical future failures that might never happen, the relentless need for comparison with others. You let go of all that clutter so you can focus your precious mental energy solely on what truly matters, your values, and your actual action plan.
Okay, so what does the opposite emotional maximalism look like in a financial context?
Oh, that's easy to picture. It's constantly doom-scrolling financial news websites.
Yeah.
It's checking your investment portfolio, like, hourly. It's getting sucked into online debates about, the absolute optimal savings rate when you haven't even nailed down your basic grocery budget yet.
Right. It's the energy drain of basically performing financial anxiety for an audience, whether it's real or just in your head.
Precisely. Emotional minimalism is about actively dialing all that noise way down. It might mean unsubscribing from newsletters that consistently make you feel inadequate. It means ruthlessly curating your social media feed to eliminate those triggers for comparison. It means refusing to get drawn into conversations that only focus on financial doom and gloom. You're essentially protecting your mental resources like you'd protect your physical energy.
Let's get really concrete with applying this, especially around that core issue of shame we talked about. So say I feel guilty about spending money. Maybe I've got a slightly more expensive cut of meat for dinner, like we mentioned. How do I use reframing this emotional minimalism idea to deal with that guilt?
Okay, good example. The first step is to pause the default guilt reaction that automatically kicks in. Morgan suggests you then ask yourself, Does this specific spending align with one of my core values?
Oh.
So in the case of the nicer dinner, was it maybe about creating a positive memory with your family? Was it about fostering connection? Or perhaps it was necessary self-care after a really stressful week? If the answer is yes, if it served a genuine value, then the guilt is just noise. It's clutter.
So the decision wasn't an act of, like, financial self-destruction.
Exactly. It was an investment in a non-financial value connection, well-being, memory. The dollar amount becomes secondary to the purpose it served. That's the reframe.
That shift viewing money not as some moral measuring stick, but purely as a tool to support your values that feels potentially transformative.
It really is. And this transition, this new way of thinking, it's supported by very specific, deliberately non-overwhelming daily habits. These are the lightweights we were talking about, the consistent actions.
Okay, what are some of these habits?
Well, the first one is daily gratitude. And yes, I know it can sound a bit cliche or simple.
A little bit, yeah.
But Morgan insists on it for a very specific reason. It directly counters the scarcity mindset we talked about. By deliberately spending just, say, 3 minutes focusing on what you do have. Maybe it's a steady paycheck, even if it's small, a safe roof over your head, your health war. You actively pull your brain out of that deficit-focused, never-enough survival mode.
You're interrupting the negative loop.
Exactly. You're providing tangible evidence to your brain that stability already exists in some form, countering the narrative that says there's never enough.
Okay, that makes sense. What's next?
The second habit is the money minute. This is a strictly dedicated 5 to 10 minutes, no more each day, just for financial clarity.
What do you do in that minute?
You might just check your bank balance, quickly review recent expenses on your app, maybe look at your savings goal tracker. The key is the brevity.
Right, so it doesn't become this huge, daunting task you avoid.
Precisely. It turns financial review from something massive and anxiety-inducing into just a routine, almost mundane daily checkpoint. It builds a sense of control and predictability bit by bit.
Okay, got it. Daily gratitude, money minute. What else?
Next is a crucial behavioral technique, the spending pause. The rule is simple. Before any non-essential purchase over a certain amount you set for yourself, you implement a mandatory 24-hour cooling-off period.
The 24-hour rule.
Yes. This immediately stalls impulse buying. It gives your rational brain, your prefrontal cortex, time to catch up with that initial emotional impulse from your limbic system. It forces you to ask, is this purchase really aligned with my values and my goals? Or is it just a short-term dopamine hit I'm seeking, maybe driven by stress or that scarcity fear?
But wait, I have to push back on that a little. What about FOMO? Fear of missing out. So much impulse buying, especially online, is driven by those limited time offer sales. If I pause for 24 hours, I might lose the deal. How does Morgan address that very real, pragmatic fear?
That's a really fair challenge, and Morgan addresses it directly. He basically says that achieving true, lasting financial peace requires developing the willingness to let some perceived good deals go.
Ouch.
Think about it. If making a purchasing decision creates anxiety, stress, or forces you to break your own rules, was it really a good deal for you, regardless of the sticker price? The long-term anxiety associated with impulsive debt, or even just buyer's remorse, usually far outweighs the few dollars saved on a flash sale. The spending pause isn't primarily a strategy to save pennies. It's a strategy to cultivate mindfulness around spending.
Okay, I see. It's prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being over chasing every last discount.
Exactly. It's playing the long game for peace of mind. And the final habit he suggests is creating a financial empowerment corner.
A physical space.
Yeah, a physical space. It could be a small section of a corkboard, maybe a corner of your desk. You put up visual reminders of your financial goals there, maybe pictures of that future vacation you're saving for, a little chart showing your debt payoff progress, perhaps even your written new financial narrative we'll talk about.
So when those feelings of scarcity or overwhelm hit,
your eye catches the board. It acts as an immediate visual anchor, snapping you out of that downward spiral of survival mode thinking and reconnecting you instantly to your aspirations, to your why.
this whole suite of small daily habits, gratitude, money minute, spending pause, empowerment corner, it's all aimed at building that peaceful financial mindset over time. Shifting from seeing money as like a scoreboard of personal worth.
To seeing it purely as a tool, a resource to help you build a life aligned with your values, providing comfort and stability.
Right. And to really cement this new mindset, Morgan prescribes a pretty intense but actionable exercise. Write a new financial narrative.
Yes, this is where you consciously, deliberately define what financial peace looks like to you. Not to society, not to your parents, not to Instagram. To you.
So what does that involve?
It involves really digging deep. Is peace having 6 months of emergency savings? Is it simply knowing all your bills are paid automatically each month without stress? Is it being able to afford a certain experience for your family? You visualize it, you describe it in detail, you feel it, and you commit it to paper. You write the story you want to live.
And crucially, Morgan acknowledges that anxiety will still strike sometimes, right? Old habits and fears, they die hard. So you need a pre-programmed response, a counter move.
Absolutely. That's where the positive affirmation, the mantra comes in. He suggests something like, I am learning, I am growing, and I am capable of creating the financial life I desire. Repeating this serves two vital functions.
Okay, what are they?
First, it acknowledges imperfection and the journey. I am learning, I am growing. Takes the pressure off needing to be perfect right now. Second, and arguably more importantly, it asserts agency and control. I am capable.
So it's not just rah-rah positive thinking.
No, not at all. This kind of deliberate self-talk actually begins the process of neuroplasticity. You are literally helping to rewire your brain, training it to seek positive reinforcement through your intentional actions, rather than automatically defaulting back to that old ingrained fear-shame cycle.
That connection between the consistent, small, positive actions and the neurological reward system that feels like the real engine driving this detox. We're not just talking about emotional cheerleading here.
No, we're talking about applied behavioral science. Using practical tools to break those negative feedback loops that were likely inherited sometimes generations ago. It's about reclaiming your brain's response to money.
Okay, so if the first couple of sections really focused on the individual's internal work, this third section kind of zooms out, doesn't it? It looks at the relational dynamic. Because let's face it, financial stress doesn't just damage the person feeling it.
Oh, absolutely not. It can turn the home environment, what should be a safe haven, into a psychological battlefield.
Yeah. Financial tension, it creates this deep emotional toll. It makes partners feel really vulnerable, exposed, sometimes incredibly isolated, even when they're sitting right next to each other on the couch.
Mm-hmm. And the arguments, they quickly stop being about the actual electric bill amount, right? They start feeling like these thinly veiled critiques of someone's competence or maybe a fundamental clash of incompatible dreams or values.
Morgan highlights how this leads to some really insidious patterns. I was struck by the anecdote he shared about Tom and Lisa.
Yeah, that's a classic example. Lisa, her primary driver was security, so she felt enormous anxiety about their spending. But how did she express it? Through criticism.
Which Tom then perceived differently.
Exactly. Tom, feeling that intense pressure to provide, interpreted her criticism not as anxiety, but as a judgment of his worth, his ability as a provider. So it created this destructive loop. Lisa felt unheard and more anxious. Tom felt guilty and resentful. Instead of mutual support, you get this downward spiral of misunderstanding.
And this kind of dynamic, Morgan suggests, is often a symptom of something called financial enmeshment. That's a crucial term, isn't it?
It really is. Enmeshment basically means the boundaries between money issues and emotional issues have become completely blurred. Financial stress bleeds into every emotional interaction, leading to these destructive patterns that just obliterate trust over time.
So let's break down what this actually looks like in practice. What are the signs people should look out for, beyond just avoiding the topic?
Well, first, you've got the obvious communication breakdown. Like we said, conversations about money are either actively dodged altogether, or they immediately spiral into blaming and accusations. There's no constructive dialogue.
Okay, what else?
Second is avoidance, but manifesting in actions. Like deliberately ignoring official financial documents, unopened bills piling up, tax forms stuffed in a drawer. This inevitably leads to explosive crisis scenarios down the line when reality hits, utilities getting shut off, massive late penalties, maybe even needing emergency loans.
Then there's the guilt-shame dynamic playing out between partners.
Yeah, this can look different ways. Maybe one partner is actually doing okay financially, earning well, but feels compelled to hide it, maybe downplay their success because they feel guilty about their partner's struggles. Or conversely, one partner might feel such overwhelming shame about their own debt that they can't bring themselves to be honest and seek necessary help or collaboration.
And all of this feeds directly into the fourth big red flag, a fundamental lack of trust.
And lack of trust around money can be incredibly insidious. It might start small, hiding a $50 online purchase. Seems minor, right?
Yeah, But it's a crack.
It's a crack, and it can escalate to devastating levels. One partner secretly racking up massive credit card debt the other knows nothing about, or maybe lying about the true value of their retirement savings or investments. When financial information is deliberately concealed, the very bedrock of the relationship starts to crumble. Any attempt at teamwork becomes completely futile. The goal here really has to be trading in that emotional armor for genuine vulnerability.
Okay, so if couples recognize these signs in their relationship, the path forward has to start with fostering open communication and accountability. But crucially, Morgan stresses, without blame. How on earth do you initiate that difficult, potentially explosive conversation?
It absolutely must start with honesty, but also a fundamental shift in language. The number one tool he advocates for is the mandatory use of I statements.
Instead of you statements.
Exactly. Instead of accusing, which instantly triggers defensiveness, like you waste all our money on useless subscriptions, you express your internal reality. Something like, I feel enormous anxiety when I see new subscription charges on the statement because I worry about our long-term security. See the difference?
Yeah, it reframes the issue from being a character attack to being about your feeling, your experience, which needs to be addressed together.
Precisely. It makes it about solving a shared problem, not winning an argument.
That makes sense conceptually. But these conversations, they're often so emotionally charged. How do you maintain a safe space when those deep-seated fears and triggers inevitably get poked?
Safety has to be built intentionally through agreed-upon boundaries before you even start the tough talk. Morgan insists on setting ground rules together. Things like absolutely no shouting, no finger-pointing or personal attacks, and choosing a calming atmosphere maybe over coffee on Saturday morning or during a quiet walk in the park. Definitely not late at night when both people are exhausted and defenses are high.
And you mentioned the safe word idea earlier. I admit, I was a bit skeptical. Does that just become another form of avoidance?
That's a really important distinction to make. The safe word, when used correctly, is not a tool for long-term avoidance of the issue. It's a tactical, temporary retreat button for when the conversation derails.
Okay, how so?
When things escalate, when the tone shifts towards disrespect, or when one or both people are clearly getting emotionally flooded and reactive, either partner can use the agreed-upon word, could be anything, pause, pineapple, whatever, to immediately halt the discussion. No questions asked.
Yeah, then what?
Then you commit beforehand to taking a break. Cool off for 30 minutes, an hour, maybe even agree to revisit it the next day. The point is to return to the conversation with fresh clarity and regulation, rather than letting raw emotion drive the exchange into further damage. It protects the relationship from the toxicity of the argument itself.
Okay, that makes more sense. It's a circuit breaker, not an eject button.
Exactly. So once you've established that safety net, the focus has to shift. You need to move away from just arguing over who spent what last month and towards creating a unified financial vision together.
And you made a point earlier that this vision setting is different from the concrete goal setting we'll discuss later, right? This is bigger picture.
This is the difference between the why and the how. Morgan is adamant. You must start with shared values before you even look at a single number on a spreadsheet. What does the couple fundamentally want their life to feel like, to look like, in 5, 10, 20 years?
So things like, do we value travel and experiences? Is providing security for our kids the absolute top priority? Do we dream of achieving freedom from a grueling work schedule eventually?
Exactly, those kinds of things. This dreaming phase, even if it feels a bit abstract at first, is essential because it attaches deep emotional purpose to the numbers. The budget stops feeling like a punishment or a restriction.
And starts feeling like the currency you need to buy those shared dreams.
Precisely. You visualize those future dreams together. Maybe it's that cabin by the lake, the college fund fully funded, just having more quality time together without money stress. And then, only then, do you translate those big dreams into concrete, manageable goal setting.
So instead of the vague, stressful, we need to save more money.
Yeah.
The goal becomes something specific and motivating, like, okay, based on our dream of that cabin, we will commit to saving $100 per month, automatically transferred specifically for the down payment fund. We'll reassess in 6 months. It turns that abstract worry into a concrete, measurable target that you both feel ownership of. You can track it. And building this unified front, it obviously requires team accountability. And Morgan stresses celebrating wins, too.
Hugely important. When you hit a small target together, maybe you pay off one small debt, or you successfully stick to your agreed-upon grocery budget for a whole month, you have to celebrate it.
How? Doesn't have to be extravagant, I assume.
No, not at all. It could be as simple as high-fiving and acknowledging, hey, we did it. Maybe making a favorite meal together, just explicitly recognizing the win. That positive reinforcement strengthens the behavior, yes, but maybe more importantly, it strengthens the relational bond. It turns something that used to be a source of constant stress and conflict into a point of connection and mutual achievement.
So the ultimate aim here, as you said, is really transforming these dreaded money talks from being a clash of responsibilities.
Into a genuine opportunity to deepen your connection, to understand each other on a more profound level.
And that requires really practicing active listening, doesn't it? Not just waiting for your turn to talk or formulating your rebuttal while your partner is still speaking.
Absolutely. It means truly trying to hear the underlying fear or hope beneath your partner's words. When you can both stay focused on the shared goal, which is usually peace, togetherness, a feeling of control, that vulnerability, that willingness to truly listen and be heard, it builds a much deeper, more robust trust than simple financial transparency ever could on its own.
Okay, we've really dug into the inherited mindset, the emotional baggage, and the crucial relationship dynamics. Now, we make the pivot. How do we take all that emotional energy we've hopefully started to free up through the detox process and translate it into proactive, effective strategy?
Right, and the starting point for that has to be confronting that scarcity mentality head on. We identified it earlier, but now we need to actively dismantle it.
Morgan calls scarcity the blinders, right? Explain that again.
It's such a good metaphor. It's a state of mind, often deeply conditioned by past experiences, maybe childhood poverty, maybe past financial trauma, and definitely reinforced by societal messages. And it literally makes you incapable of seeing opportunity. It's like tunnel vision.
Right. What's happening?
Because your brain is stuck in survival mode. All your cognitive resources, all your mental energy are completely dedicated to solving the immediate crisis. How do I pay this bill today? How do I make it through this week? There's simply no bandwidth left to even perceive, let alone pursue, possibilities for growth or abundance.
And that leads directly to just staying stuck in that survival mode where every single day feels like a desperate financial fight. Morgan uses a really powerful anecdote about Danny, the business owner.
Danny was so obsessively fixated on his recent client losses, on the perceived downturn in his specific industry, he was focused entirely on the lack, on what was going wrong.
And because of those blinders.
He completely overlooked adjacent opportunities that were right there. He missed the fact that he could easily market some complementary services to his existing loyal clients. He missed that a whole segment of his past clientele was actually ripe for re-engagement with just a little bit of effort. His emotional focus on surviving prevented him from shifting into strategy mode.
So scarcity breeds anxiety.
Which then stifles planning and proactive action.
Which then just perpetuates the scarcity. It's a vicious cycle.
It is, and breaking that cycle requires a really intentional shift. It requires fully embracing the idea that you are the author of your own story now, and that you absolutely have the power through deliberate strategy to create a different economic reality for yourself.
Okay, so to help people make that shift from scarcity thinking to concrete strategy, Morgan lays out a pretty clear 3-step action plan.
He does, and it's refreshingly straightforward. Step 1, get real.
Okay, what does get real entail? Brutal honesty.
Honesty, yes, but non-judgmental honesty. This is the clear-eyed assessment of your actual financial reality. We are absolutely not looking for blame or shame here. We're purely looking for clarity, cold, hard data.
So practically, what does that mean? Listing income, expenses.
Yes, listing all income sources, and then meticulously categorizing all expenses. And it's crucial here to distinguish between your fixed expenses, the ones that are roughly the same each month, like rent or mortgage, car payments, basic utilities, and your variable expenses.
The ones that fluctuate: groceries, gas, entertainment, clothes.
Exactly. And when we say meticulously categorize, we mean really looking for those hidden leaks, the things we often overlook.
Like what? The forgotten subscriptions. The little daily coffees.
Absolutely. It means doing an audit of your discretionary spending, finding those subscriptions you forgot you even had, noticing the small fees that add up: ATM fees, overdraft fees, tracking that discretionary spending creep where little things just keep adding up without you realizing. You simply must know exactly where every dollar is currently going before you can make informed decisions about where you want it to go next.
And the key is approaching this step with curiosity, right? Not guilt, like being a detective in your own finances.
Precisely. The data is your friend here. It's not judging you, it's just information.
Okay, step 1, get real. Understand the current situation without judgment. What's step 2?
Step 2, set goals. Now, this moves us beyond that big picture emotional vision setting we talked about in the relationship section and into creating actionable, measurable targets.
And Morgan insists these absolutely must be written down.
He does. Writing them down makes them tangible. It takes them out of the realm of vague wishes and into the realm of concrete intentions. And research shows it massively increases accountability and follow-through.
What kind of goals are we talking about?
Well, ideally, they should follow the SMART framework. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And he suggests breaking them down into maybe 3 tiers.
Like short, medium, long term.
Exactly. Short-term goals might be for the next, say, 3 months, for example. Cut $150 per month from our variable spending by reducing dining out and subscription services. Very specific. Medium-term goals could be for the next 6 months to a year. Build a $1,000 emergency fund by saving $167 per month. Again, specific, measurable, time-bound.
And long term.
That could be something like save a 20% down payment for a home within the next 5 years, which you'd then break down into smaller annual or monthly savings targets. The key is that the tangibility, the specificity of the goal is what allows your brain to actually believe it's possible and start working towards it.
Okay, get real, set goals. What's step 3? This must be the doing part.
Step 3, daily habits. This is the engine that actually drives the strategy forward. This is what ensures consistency and helps prevent you from backsliding into those old scarcity-driven patterns.
What kinds of daily habits?
Well, first, if possible, implementing automatic savings immediately. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking to your savings account the day after payday. If the money never even hits your main checking account, you literally can't spend it impulsively. Out of sight, out of mind.
Makes sense. Pay yourself first automatically.
Exactly. Then committing to that daily goal review, we talked about that quick money minute. Just glancing at your written goals keeps your aspirations front of mind, reinforcing your why. And finally, instituting weekly expense tracking.
Ugh, tracking expenses sounds like a chore. Isn't that punishment?
That's the old mindset talking. The new mindset, the strategy mindset, views weekly expense tracking not as a punishment or an admission of failure. It's viewed as a proactive tool for understanding and optimization. It's like checking the dashboard of your car. You need to know how much fuel you have and how fast you're going to navigate effectively. It provides clarity, not condemnation.
Okay, reframing tracking as a tool for clarity. I like that. So this 3-step action plan. Get real, set goals, daily habits. That sounds robust. But what keeps it going? Especially for someone coming out of that deep cycle of shame, setbacks must feel devastating.
That's where the critical link comes in, the thing that sustains the momentum, celebrating progress and actively building confidence.
This loops back to the psychology we discussed earlier.
It absolutely does. When you consciously acknowledge and celebrate a win, no matter how small it seems, maybe you paid off one tiny credit card, maybe you stuck to your grocery budget for 1 full month, maybe you just successfully implemented the 24-hour pause rule 3 times, you create that vital positive feedback loop in your brain.
Triggering dopamine, reinforcing the pathway.
Exactly. It reinforces neuroplasticity. You are literally teaching your brain on a chemical level. This positive financial behavior feels good and it leads to success. And that directly counteracts all those years of programming that associated anything to do with money only with stress, fear, and shame.
So celebration isn't just a fluffy, feel-good exercise. It's actually essential neurological retraining.
It is non-negotiable for sustainable change, especially when overcoming deep-seated negative patterns.
How does Morgan recommend celebrating these wins effectively? Does it have to cost money?
Absolutely not. It needs to be tailored to you and definitely shouldn't derail your budget. It could be simple, individual acknowledgement, maybe allowing yourself an hour of guilt-free time for a hobby you love, buying your favorite affordable treat, or just taking a moment to genuinely praise yourself.
What about involving others?
Yes, family recognition can be powerful. Sharing the milestone over dinner, maybe making the kids part of the success story if appropriate. We saved enough this month for that pizza night we wanted. Or going back to the visual progress idea, physically updating that chart on your empowerment corner, coloring in a segment of your debt thermometer, adding a sticker to your savings tracker. Seeing the progress visually is incredibly motivating for many people.
The key takeaway here seems to be that confidence isn't something you just magically get. once you achieve the massive final goal.
No, you don't wait for the lottery win, metaphorically speaking, to feel successful. Confidence is something you actively nurture. It grows through the consistent daily recognition of your efforts, your resilience, your small victories along the way.
And that nurtured confidence, that resilience, that's what keeps the strategy in motion, even when the inevitable setbacks or unexpected challenges pop up.
Precisely. You start to trust yourself. Trust your ability to navigate challenges because you have a track record of doing so, built one small win at a time.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground. We've identified the problem, the inherited stories. We've talked about the detox for the mind, rebuilding trust in relationships, and the crucial shift from scarcity to strategy. We arrive now at the final stage, really, living day to day with your new money mind, consciously stepping away from that old inherited script and, maybe more importantly, recognizing your own strength and capability.
Exactly. And this final stage, it's not like you just graduate and it's over. It requires ongoing, deliberate reflection and awareness. You have to actively monitor your thoughts and challenge self-talk when those old, familiar patterns inevitably try to creep back in. Because they will.
So when you realize you slipped up, maybe you overspent on something or you avoided looking at your budget for a few days, the key is how you respond internally.
Absolutely. You have to consciously replace that internal voice of shame or criticism. Ugh, I'm such a failure. I'll never get this right. With a voice of forgiveness and resilience.
So instead of beating yourself up, you stop the negative spiral by maybe saying something like, okay, I made a mistake there, but I'm learning from it, and it's enough for today. I'll get back on track tomorrow.
Precisely that. You practice forgiveness for past mistakes, actively reframing them not as evidence of your inherent inadequacy, but as, well, tuition payments. Lessons learned on the path to mastery. The absolute key is to relentlessly align your daily choices, from the smallest budgeting decision you make, to dedicating time for ongoing financial literacy, to how you talk about money with others, aligning all of that with the new empowered narrative you are actively writing for yourself.
How do we track this progress effectively over the long haul? Because let's be real, a 30-day detox is powerful, but it's just the beginning of a lifelong shift.
That's a great point. Ongoing reflection and tracking are absolutely essential for sustained success. Morgan really emphasizes that tracking, when done with the right mindset, is not an instrument of shame or judgment. It's an empowering tool for gathering evidence of your own resilience and growth.
Okay, so how do we track beyond just the numbers?
He recommends simple things like keeping daily notes. Maybe just writing down one thing I did well with money today, even if it's tiny, and then incorporating weekly check-ins where you track not just the numbers that I stick to the budget, how's the savings goal, but also your emotional responses to your financial activity throughout the week.
So maybe on a Sunday night, you take 10 minutes to look back and ask, okay, where did I feel anxious about money this week? Where did I feel in control or confident? What triggered those feelings? Why?
Exactly. Because true, sustainable control comes from understanding the whole picture, not just from achieving numerical perfection. By holding that mirror up regularly to your financial life, looking at both the cash flow and the emotional flow, you gain the clarity you need to make ongoing sustainable adjustments. You are intentionally building your own historical record, your personal story of capability and growth.
And finally, we need to connect all this hard-won progress, all this tracking and reflection, back to its ultimate purpose, right? It's not just about managing money better. It's about turning that progress into a deeper sense of purpose in life.
This is the truly transformative step. This is where it all comes together. The ultimate goal isn't just hitting a specific savings number or paying off all your debt, as great as those things are. It's about transforming those daily financial steps, those disciplined habits, into something genuinely meaningful for your life and your family.
Can you give an example? Thinking back to Mike and Sarah.
Right. Think back to Mike, the stressed provider. For him, the saved money isn't just an abstract number in a bank account anymore. It transforms into connection. It becomes guilt-free time he can now afford to spend with his kids at the park, creating memories, being present without that crushing financial anxiety weighing him down. The money serves the purpose of connection.
And Sarah, who felt guilty about any self-care.
For Sarah, budgeting is no longer a tedious chore filled with shame. It becomes an empowering tool that facilitates open conversations with her family about their shared dreams. It fosters transparency and hope, replacing the old guilt. The budgeting process itself serves the purpose of building trust and shared aspiration.
So that visualization of your deeper purpose, what you really want the money to do for your life, that's the fuel that keeps the habits going, especially when things get tough.
It's the ultimate fuel. It's what keeps you focused during difficult times or when motivation wanes. You're no longer just grinding away trying to pay bills. You are actively, consciously building a financial narrative filled with strength, resilience, peace, and the deliberate creation of the life you truly desire.
You are stepping fully into your role as a deliberate, conscious author of your own financial story.
Yeah.
No longer just reacting to the old script.
Exactly. That's the freedom. Hashtag tag tag outro.
Wow. This has been a really deep dive, hasn't it? Into rewiring the very core of how we think about and relate to our financial lives. Before we wrap up, let's quickly summarize the most vital lessons we've gleaned from Jack Morgan's Mindset Detox approach.
Okay, rapid fire. First, and maybe foremost, mindset is everything. Your internal beliefs and stories dictate your financial reality far more powerfully than any external market condition or paycheck size.
Second, communication is crucial, especially in relationships. End the silent suffering, the avoidance. Embrace vulnerability and honesty with your partner or support system.
Third, you absolutely must celebrate small wins. They aren't frivolous. They are essential neurological retraining tools that build momentum, confidence, and break old shame cycles.
Fourth, you need to develop your action plan, not someone else's. It has to be realistic for you, measurable, and critically aligned specifically with your personal values and goals.
And finally, maybe the most comforting, you are not alone in this struggle. So many people are fighting the same battle against inherited narratives and societal pressures. Recognizing that can be incredibly freeing.
Absolutely. So to help you solidify this learning and maybe begin your own detox journey today, here are the immediate practical actions Morgan suggests you can commit to right now.
Number 1. Reflect and journal. Seriously, grab that notebook, spend just 5 minutes right now clarifying one inherited emotion, maybe shame, maybe fear, or one intention about money that you want to actively challenge or change. Just get it out of your head and onto paper.
Good one. Number 2, set one realistic goal. Make it super small, make it easily measurable. Like, I will track my spending for the next 3 days using an app. Or I will identify one subscription I can cancel this week. Build that critical initial momentum. Don't aim too high at first.
And number 3, schedule money dates. If you have a partner, schedule a time this week. If not, maybe schedule time with yourself or a trusted friend or mentor. Create that safe, non-judgmental atmosphere to either initiate or maintain open, honest communication about where you are and where you want to go.
Excellent starting points. This whole deep dive, it really reinforces one central, quite profound philosophy, doesn't it? That peace is the ultimate form of wealth.
It really is. The journey Morgan outlines isn't primarily about becoming conventionally rich in terms of dollars. It's about achieving the freedom to enjoy life's small, wonderful, everyday joys without that constant oppressive cloud of financial stress hanging over you.
And that leaves us with Jack Morgan's core quote. It feels like a powerful, maybe even provocative thought for you, the listener, to carry forward as you perhaps start writing your own new chapter today. You don't have to be rich to feel free. You just need to stop fighting your own story and start writing a new one.